Mental health issues are a topic that few are educated on, and due to this, many people may not understand the impact and importance of keeping a healthy mind. In the novel, The Worst Thing She Ever Did by Alice Kuipers, mental health issues that are left untreated cause strenuous impacts on relationships between characters. First, Sophie's anxiety disorder and post traumatic stress flashbacks cause her to become distant from her mother. Next, Abigail's eating disorder causes her to isolate herself even more from Sophie and become closer with Megan. Lastly, Abigail's mom's alcoholism causes Abigail to feel more self conscious, and as a result, she destroys relationships. To begin, Sophie's anxiety attacks and PTSD cause her to become increasingly distant from her mother. Sophie has major anxiety and PTSD, both rooting from experiencing the death of her sister, who died in a terrorist bombing on a train. When Sophie has her anxiety attacks, she chooses to isolate herself from her mother, who is struggling as well. This causes a lack of communication, and as they continually hurt, they never seek help from one another. When I got home, I called out a quick hi to Mom and went straight to my room. I thought I was dying. I wanted to scream to Mom that I was having a heart attack, that something terrible was happening to me, but I was too frightened to call out. Sophie does not realize that her not reaching out for help is slowly ruining her relationship with her mother and is unable to find a solution to her problems by herself. Next, Abigail's eating disorder, bulimia, caused her to isolate herself even more from Sophie and become closer with Megan. Abigail developed an eating disorder called bulimia, which is when you throw up your food after eating. This eating disorder caused her to drift herself away from Sophie because she does not want Sophie to know about it. When Abigail's brother came home from university and saw how skinny and ill Abigail looked, he came to Sophie to ask her what was happening to her. "What's wrong with Abigail? She looks awful." "Sophie, she's so thin." "She's fine." "What's wrong with her? You must know." "We're not really that close anymore." Abigail's eating disorder also caused her to become much closer with Megan, who is also bulimic. Sophie felt replaced by Megan and decided to find a new best friend instead of mending her relationship with Abigail. Megan then turned out to be a terrible person and friend after Abigail found out Megan slept with her boyfriend. Abigail's eating disorder has caused her to become much closer to Megan, a bad influence on her, which caused her to prioritize Megan over Sophie on many occasions. Lastly, Abigail's mom's alcoholism causes Abigail to feel more self-conscious, and as a result, she ruins her friendships with Sophie. Abigail's mom's drinking problem causes Abigail to be filled with lots of anger and other negative emotions, and she tends to take it out on her friends. Sophie was invited to Abigail's house for dinner one day, and Abigail's mom was very drunk. When I arrived, Abby's mom was knocking back vodkas, already totally hammered. I wondered for a moment how Abby felt about her mom in such a state. She must be embarrassed. Abigail rushed upstairs and Sophie tried to comfort her, but the two soon started to argue about not understanding each other's struggles. Abigail was embarrassed and angry and took her frustration out on Sophie. Abigail complained that Sophie was never there to help her out anymore, and obviously Sophie had a very negative reaction to this. "Help you out? What do you mean, help you out? How can you be such a bitch? I've always been the one who helped you out." To which Abigail replied, "Is that what I am? A bitch? And what about you? When have you got time for anyone else? You don't even know what's going on." Abigail is frustrated about her mother's drinking problem and has no outlet for help, causing her to unleash built-up anger and frustration on the people close to her. This leads Abigail and Sophie's relationship to break down, and they lose each other as best friends. To conclude, mental health issues that are not cared for properly can lead to negative impacts on important personal relationships. Maintaining good mental health is very important, and if you can tell someone close to you is suffering, you should take action before it is too late.